Appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. Want to start out with asking you how you've seen soccer fandom in North America change over the last few years, over the last few World Cup tournaments, and how that excitement's going to continue in 2026.
Well, I think exposure and accessibility is at an all-time high. Anytime you see a World Cup come around every 4 years, you see really it ignite the passion amongst the people who already love the game in this country, but also maybe the more casual viewer, the more casual fan really rides that wave of momentum that a World Cup brings. I've seen the changes throughout the years in terms of support for your local MLS team. When I turned pro in 2006, you had maybe a couple hundred people who would come out to support and stand in the supporter section and sing and chant. And they're the ones that have been around for a very long time. But nowadays, you go to an MLS game and you can barely talk to the person next to you. It's so loud. And that's really impressive in terms of the growth, the passion of the game in this country, and the knowledge. Fans are talking about the game more than they ever have. They're consuming the game in so many different ways. The 2026 World Cup should just add rocket fuel to all of that.
Do you think the city of St. Louis plays a certain role in helping lead the country to having more fandom, more excitement towards the national team in tournaments like the World Cup?
I do. You know, St. Louis is the soccer capital of the United States. It's been like that for forever, ever since I've been involved in the game. I've always thought of St. Louis as where you go if you want soccer coverage. It's a fantastic city. St. Louis has developed some wonderful players for both the men's and women's national team throughout the years. It's a city that's always an innovator in the way that they do things. I think once the 2026 World Cup rolls around, you're going to see plenty of watch parties. You're going to see plenty of coverage emanating out of St. Louis, Missouri. When you think of soccer and you think of soccer in this country, St. Louis, Missouri always comes to the front of the mind.
St. Louis City SC has had quite an interesting start in its first 2 years in the league. Now we're in year 3, and I'm just wondering what you think this team needs to focus on to turn it around from last year and be more successful.
I think Olaf Melberg has come in and done a wonderful job of establishing a defensive foundation for this team. You have one of the best goalkeepers in MLS in Roman Berkey, who's out with an unfortunate injury right now. But anytime you can establish a defensive identity, you're always going to give yourself a chance in every single game. The thing that I would like to see St. Louis City improve on is in the attacking half of the field. They've really struggled to score goals. They've really struggled to create chances. You have some really talented players in attack in Simon Betcher and Marcel Hartel, Joao Klaus. This team doesn't have a designated number 10, a designated creative influence in their team. So it's going to have to be scoring goals and attacking by committee. I look at Edu Leuven as one of their best players. He's been on the team since the beginning, since their inception, and he's the talisman for this team. These guys have to step up, and this is on Olaf Melberg to be able to get the best out of these attacking players. I would like to see this team take a little bit more risk going forward. You've already established a defensive identity, and now you're going to have to increase the goal scoring production in the attacking third if they're going to be successful this year.
Do you have any predictions for where you think City SC will finish when it's all said and done?
I do. St. Louis City, I believe, will make the playoffs, and I think they will be able to host a playoff game. I don't quite see them being good enough to finish in the top 4, but they will make the playoffs and show improvement from last season.